Hey guys, so today is gonna be just me and you. I am recording this solo episode, and this is my very first solo episode on an important topic that I'd love to share with you guys, and I've got my notes for today as well. The topic today is going to be the 10 things that I have learned in 10 years. So crazy enough, we're nearly 10 years in business in the coaching realm. Now, I've been a psychotherapist for over 15 years, but as many of you know, I took the leap into coaching back in 2013. And since then, the company evolved from just being me to now we have a team of coaches, and we specialize not only in one-on-one coaching, but we also have a coach training division of our company where we teach people how to become coaches and how to have their own business. So things have been growing, and in those 10 years, I have learned quite a bit. So I'm gonna give with you guys my list for today. I'm really excited to share this with you. I was actually jamming with our new strategist, our new social media strategist, and coming up with different topics and ideas, things we could talk about on social media. And one of the things that she had come up with was 10 things that I've learned in 10 years. And all I could think was, that's a podcast. That's okay, sure. We'll do it on social media, but that's a podcast. Because I think that there's a lot that we can share from a journey. And not that my journey is going to be exactly like your journey. It's likely to be very different. We would have had to not only be twins, but like, I don't know, Siamese twins in order for my experience and your experience to be the exact same. But when we take a minute to reflect, whether it's where we are in our career or where we are in our relationship or even a new birthday or something, when we reflect on like, what are the things that I actually have learned in this time period? So this is not an exclusive list. There's so many more things that I have. So I have come up with a list of 10, and then of course I added like 2 little bonus ones. But the first one, so if you're a person who wants to write things down, then get your pen and I'll have you guys writing things down. But if you're anything like me and you're likely listening to a podcast as you are driving in the car or you're walking the dog or just bopping around folding laundry, I'm going to share these 10 things with you, and we'll also throw them in the show notes as well. So that's where your crib notes will be.
I'm sure you've all heard the saying, nothing changes if nothing changes. And that's true. It's really hard to make change in our life without taking the time to actually look at the way that we're showing up in the world and the thoughts that we have that really dictate the way that we show up in the world. That is why we created the 90-day Elevate Journal. You're definitely going to want to grab this, and it's available now on Amazon. The 90-day Elevate Journal is essentially designed for you to take a deep dive into what it really means to rise, transform, and lead. Grab your copy for less than $20. You can always visit www.themindrise.com/elevate or check it out in the show notes. But you need to grab your copy of the 90-day journal now and really elevate to the next level.
So the very first thing that I have learned in the last 10 years of owning my own company and 10 years of being a coach is that we don't help people by doing things for them. Ooh, that's a hard one. We don't help people by doing things for them. And it's so much more than the teach a man to fish concept, right? We don't help people when we stand in place of what actions that they should be taking. And that's not a judgment on our part. We can always put our hand out. We can always help and support someone. But when you're doing more than your share, whether it's of the relationship or of the project or, of the communicating, you're not actually helping anybody else. So that's one of the bigger things that I've learned, not only in being a coach, but also in therapy. Like, the thing that I never liked was when I felt like I was working harder than my clients on their lives. So the truth is that we don't help people by doing things for them, right? And that goes for our kids as well. We can teach them, we can partner with them, we can walk beside them, we can have them, be able to trust fall into us. We can three-legged race with them, but when we do it for them, we're robbing them of the opportunity of building their capacity in that area. So that's my number one, and that's probably the biggest. And if I had to just nix all the rest of them on the list, that would definitely be at that very, very top of the list. The second thing that's on the list is anything is possible. I know that sounds like super generic and belongs on a poster in like a high school guidance counselor's office. But anything is possible is very true. So often we limit ourselves and really put blinders on because we get so tied up in the how. How is this going to happen? How is this going to come to be? How do I do it? Right? That we put blinders on and we don't give ourselves opportunity to stretch out in the fullness of our vision. So sometimes the fullness of our vision will reveal itself to us, kind of like, I don't know, my daughter, I always get her those advent calendars for Christmas time, and she's got to like scratch the little thing or, press the door and then the candy pops out, whatever it is. But things will only reveal themselves to us many times step by step. So in the very beginning of the vision, I didn't know that I was going to be running this company 10 years later. I had no idea that I was going to not only be running retreats around the world, but hosting multiple masterminds and have clients for 8, 9 years now. It's so amazing. Or teaching people how to be coaches or have a team of our own coaches. I didn't know any of those things at the very beginning. But what I did know was that I wanted to own my own business, right? So that's part of the vision. I knew that I wanted to help people. That was another part of the vision. I knew that I wanted to do one-on-one coaching, another part of the vision. I knew I wanted to do some group stuff, another part of the vision. And I knew I wanted to do workshops. So I knew those 5 things. Did I really know how to do all 5 of those things? No, I didn't. I really didn't know. But I didn't lose sight of the vision in service of the how. So that's number 2, is really like anything is possible. Just start with where you're at. And of course, you can work with a coach to help you figure out those next steps. Or if like becoming a coach is your jam, of course, you could do our coach training program, which is going to teach you the exact steps that you need. But more often than not, like, don't just cut yourself off and think, oh, I can't do that, or oh, that's not for me, or I don't know how. Don't lose sight of what you think is possible, because anything is possible and you want what you want for a reason. I should have made that its own separate category, but we'll throw it into number 2. Okay. Number 3. Okay. Number 3 is don't do what you don't want to do. I know sometimes we have to, and for any of my little listeners, just like put some earmuffs on them. But sometimes we do have to eat a shit sandwich here or there. Yeah, sometimes we have to do hard things. I totally get it. But don't do things that you don't want to do. And that's the best advice I could give anybody who's becoming an entrepreneur. Because here's the thing. If you do things that you don't want to do, you're going to end up out of alignment, which takes you out of your authenticity and will likely cost your business money. Yeah, that's like 3 X's, all strikes. Don't do things that you don't want to do. Get yourself resourced, ask questions, figure out a workaround, or just don't do it. And especially if you've been building something in your business and you find that that's no longer aligned for you, don't just keep going through the motions because, well, that's what we've always done. No, screw that. It's time to pave a new road. If you've come to the end of the road and it says dead end or it's a cul-de-sac, it's time to pave a new road. It's time to pave a new direction. Don't just do circles in the cul-de-sac, right? That's just going to make us bored. All right, number 4. It's okay. Oh, I love this one. It's okay to play Goldilocks. And the reason why I love this one, saying that it's okay to play Goldilocks, is that, and it's in the spirit of don't do what you don't want to do. And it's also in the spirit of anything is possible, is playing Goldilocks. And I talk to my clients about this all the time, is figuring out what's too hot, what's too cold, what's just right for you. What's too hard, what's too soft, what's just right. And when we use this, I like to think of it as the art of discernment. Not only do we get to know ourselves better, but what we create is authentically in line with us. Right? I think sometimes, especially when we're paving new roads, we want to do it right. We want to do it the right way. We want the tried and true method. Oh, well, that's what they're doing, so that must be the way to do it. And while, yeah, you don't always have to reinvent the wheel, the truth is here, it's okay to play Goldilocks. It's okay to figure out what's your just right. For me, my just right is working with clients Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. That's my sweet spot. For me, my just right when it comes to clients is 4, 5 clients max. I go to 6 clients and yeah, I can do it, But at that point, I kind of do get tired, right? It's like 6 hours of talking, 6 hours of thinking, 6 hours of strategizing. And at that point, it can sometimes burn me out, right? So what we have to do is we have to think about what's your just right? And what are your categories of just right? How do you know that it's just right? Right? That's what we have to think about. Number 5 is to build things in phases. I like this. We think, again, now we have to have it all figured out. But when instead you build it in phases, it gives you an opportunity not only to eat the elephant one bite at a time, right? Okay, phase 1's going to look like this. Phase 2 is going to look like this. It allows us to project in the future, which is also nice. And then another byproduct of planning things in phases, which I think is a really sweet spot, is we can assess as we're going along, right? If phase 1 is a week or 2 weeks long and we're rolling out a new initiative, well, does it make sense to roll out the second initiative right after that? Or does it make sense to pause for a beat, see what worked and see what didn't work? Just a quick analysis. It doesn't have to be anything crazy or in depth or, take all the Google metrics in the world, but just take a look. Like, did we do what we set out to do? Oh, yes. Sweet. What do we need to do more of? Okay. Oh, no, we didn't. Oh, okay. Well, what do we need to do less of? Where do we need to pivot? Where do we need to make changes? So number 5 is building things out in phases. It gives you not only a more manageable chunks at a time, it gives you a long range view, and it gives you the opportunity to pivot before you have a big mess to clean up. So important thing that I've learned in the last 10 years. We're halfway through the list. I'm cruising through, and you're going to find not that there's overlap, but oh, this piece fits with this piece. And I think that that is the game changer. So number 6 for us is both, I'm going for a piece of union here, guys, both leap and look ahead, right? I know that sounds like I'm saying 2 different things at one point, but leap. When you know you just need to go for it and you need to get that energy, just go for it. Leap, take the leap and take the risk, right? Step out into the world, be bold, right? The bold are rewarded. And at the same time, it's okay to look ahead as you're taking that leap, right? So, okay, sweet, I'm gonna run, I'm gonna go, Geronimo, here I go. I'm looking toward the clouds, I'm looking toward the sun, I'm looking towards what I want things to be because I'm looking ahead. If I take this leap, then what happens? I'm taking this leap because I want blah, blah, blah. When I take this leap, it will allow me to blah, blah, blah. So while yes, it's taking a risk, it's also doing so with a game plan in place, right? So doing both of those things at the same time. What you're going to find early on in business is that that's a cadence that you will have to develop over time. Sometimes you're going to be really good at it, and sometimes you're going to stink at it. You're not going to be very good at knowing when you have to leap or when you have to look ahead. And you're going to learn, and here's how you're going to learn. Because you're going to fall on your face a couple times. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that right now. When starting a business, it doesn't matter if it's a service-based business, it's a product-based business, it doesn't matter what kind of business it is. There will be moments, decisions that you make, relationships that you attempt to build, timelines that you create that you're going to fall on your face. Okay, take those as learning. That doesn't mean don't leap. That doesn't mean don't look ahead. Leap and look ahead. I'm leaping because, and this is where it's going to lead me to. So think in that manner. Okay, number 7. Dun, 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 dun. Number 7 feeds into basically 1 through 6. There is no right way. I'm going to go ahead and tell you now, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off because when we're a new entrepreneur, here are some things that we do. We sign up for everyone and their mother's newsletter. Not the world's best idea, right? We take every single course that there ever was. Not necessarily the best idea. We follow 14,000 different gurus and try to read the best book and listen to all the podcasts. Not the best way to go about things. Because essentially what we're trying to do is we're taking our anxious energy of not wanting to get it wrong, and we are flooding ourselves with content. We're flooding ourselves with 100 people's way of doing things, their right way. And while I like to take a policy of take what you need and leave what you don't, a lot of times when you're brand new, you are looking for the playbook. You're looking for the exact blueprint, the roadmap, the way to do it so it's done the right way. Well, I'm going to go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off for you guys. There is no right way. If you were somebody right now listening to this podcast that has signed up for 14,000 newsletters or enrolled in 1,100 courses, I'm going to go ahead and give you a permission slip to unsubscribe. Go ahead. It's okay. You can always go back. And I'm going to give you permission to unsubscribe. And the reason I'm going to go with that one first is because sometimes what you need to do is limit the amount of noise and just focus on your blank slate, your blank canvas. What's your unique voice? What do you want to say? Not the right way to do it, but instead, what do you really want to say? Then if you have signed up for 1,000 courses, what I'm going to encourage you to do, which we have our own courses and we have our own newsletter, and I'm happy to be on here and tell you, unsubscribe if it's noise, or don't do the course if it's not an alignment for you. When it comes to the courses that you have signed up for, do them, finish them, and be done with it. Or if you're thinking of taking on yet another course, go ahead and freeze yourself right now and take a look back at the courses that you have already signed up, paid for. Oh, it was a freebie. Oh, this is. Take a look at what you already have as information. And then ask yourself, what am I looking to learn? I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that want to be a coach and they're busy taking Facebook ads classes. Well, because I'm going to need that when I eventually launch my business. I get that it feels like a good idea right now, but let's get you started building your business in your unique voice. And then when it comes time to do a Facebook ads or something, then at that point, you'll have enough knowledge to know whether you need to hire somebody to do it or you need to take a course, right? So there's no right way to do it. And I wish I could tell you that there's a right way to do absolutely everything, but there can be some suggested recipes. And I'm still going to encourage you to take what you need and leave what you don't. That's exactly what we do with our coach trainee program. Yes, it's a 6-month program that teaches you not only how to be a coach, but also how to run a successful business, market your business, like take care of yourself legally. All of those entities of having finishing and graduating this program with a business in the box and step by step. Yeah, I'm going to show you that, but you have to also make it your own. And I always tell our new students, I'm going to teach you how to make a cheesecake. Perfect. But maybe you want to have a peanut butter cheesecake or a raspberry cheesecake or a fudge swirl cheesecake, sweet. I'm going to show you the basic recipe and then you're going to make it your own. So don't get stressed out about doing it the right way. Number 8, I love this one. And this is something that I did not learn until I was, I have to say I would love to say to you 3 years in business. It's probably more like 5 or 8. I mean, it was a long haul because I was stuck in wanting to do it right. I was stuck in, trying to do everything at once instead of in phases. I was stuck in how do I do it? How do I do it? Right. But number 8 is, how do you measure? This is huge. Even when it comes to our relationships, are we satisfied in a relationship? Are we fulfilled? Are we satisfied in a job? Are we fulfilled? If we don't know what we're creating a measurement for or how we will measure, we are just going to get on that hamster wheel and go, 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 go. So check it out. Figure out, how will I measure? How will I know that I'm doing what I set out to do? How will I know that I'm in alignment? How will I know that this is working? How will I know that it's not working? Right? Sometimes our metric of working has everything to do with what's in the bank account. Sometimes our metric of what's working is how much freedom that we have in our creativity or the expansiveness that we can find in our time. You get to decide. So decide for yourself, how are we measuring? How are we measuring our satisfaction? How are we measuring, is my business successful? How are we measuring, are my relationships working? How are we measuring, am I healthy? Right? Some people might say that they're healthy because they're I don't know, eat low-fat yogurt. I'll tell you, I know I'm healthy when I am sleeping regularly. I know that I'm healthy when I'm, drinking water regularly. Everybody has a different measurement. You get to decide what yours is because remember, number 7, there's no right way. We're always looking for this right way, constantly. In fact, research shows that there's only 15% of the world that are initiators, someone that will go out and ignite or take the leap or go try something new. And entrepreneurs tend to fall in that category. And that means that approximately 85% of people want the exact way to do it, or they want to put the widget on the conveyor belt. And there's nothing wrong with deciding, which camp that you sit in. But understand that if you're going to be an igniter, if you're going to be an initiator, if you're going to be someone who takes a leap, that you have to create a relationship with yourself, right? And part of that is that discernment I was talking about before and measurement as well. Number 9, we're coming to the tail end of this. Number 9 is partnership is key. So this doesn't mean you have to have a business partner. I am a solopreneur, but I have a team. And it's about the partnerships and relationships that we create. And I find that having partners that it's in my similar industry, but they're not exactly a coach, but they have value that they can add. One of my favorite partners, and we've done a podcast with her, is Rachel Pesso. Rachel Pesso is a brand designer. She's a website designer. She creates amazing, beautiful, very artistic demonstrations of people's brands. That is not what I do for a living, but do I teach people how to become a coach? Yes. Do I help existing business owners to strategize and rebrand and recreate and decide what they want to do going forward? Absolutely. Well, it's great that I have a partnership with Rachel because I can send them her way. The partnership doesn't necessarily have to be a financial one, but it means that I have great resources in my back pocket. And I'll tell you, the best coaches are not the smartest coaches. No, the best coaches are the most well-resourced coaches, hands down. Another partnership that we have is we have a philanthropic partnership. So Elizabetta, who is the founder of Carranza, they are our philanthropic partner that we have. And it's I Stand for Girls campaign, and it's all about funding girls' education. That is a fantastic partnership. I can't wait to do things with them and share things with them. We adopt different students and we give donations and we help to really expand the way in which they can make an impact. That's an important partnership. So number 9 is partnership is key, because what you'll find is that having that great Rolodex, having people that you have relationships with, having people that you could pick up the phone and say, hey, help me figure this one out, is huge. It's an absolute game changer. All right. Number 10, and I bet you could all see this coming if you've ever listened to me before, or if you're one of my clients listening to the podcast, you're going to know number 10 is you are bigger than your blocks. We are all of us, all y'all, however you want to say it, we are all going to have blocks and obstacles. It doesn't matter what's in your bank account. It doesn't matter your gender. It doesn't matter your the color of your skin. It doesn't matter how much education that you have. I promise you, we are all going to have blocks and obstacles. I have, for the entirety of my career, I have asked people before working with them, I have always asked them, what is the biggest thing holding you back? And again, didn't matter gender, didn't matter socioeconomic status, didn't matter education. Every single person says themselves, right? The biggest thing holding most of us back is ourselves. And I need you to remember, and this is one of the key things that I have learned in the last 10 years in business and beyond, is that you are bigger than your blocks and obstacles. That doesn't mean stick your head in the sand. That doesn't mean that you're not going to come up against blocks and obstacles, or if you do, you failed. No. They're going to teach us things. But the better relationship you develop with yourself, the better relationship you're going to have with your toolkit, which is what you're going to need when you face the blocks and obstacles that will inevitably come up. They could be head noise, blocks and obstacles can be unexpected turns or pivots that you've had to make. It could be, giving everything you've got to something and it just not shaking out, right? I was reading a quote recently from Aubrey Marcus, and he just said something so simple and profound. And he said, sometimes we don't always stick the landing. It's true. Sometimes we don't always stick the landing. So just remember that you are bigger than your blocks and your obstacles. The sooner that you wrap your head around that, the sooner that you're going to be able to come up with the solutions that inevitably you're going to need. We all do. All right. And I promised you guys 2 bonus ones before we wrap it up. And these 2 bonus ones are so good. I'm like, oh, I wanted to squeeze them into the top 10, but since this is my game show here, I'm going to throw them in anyway. Okay. So number 11, if you will, of the top 10 things is pay it forward. I can't say it enough. Pay it forward. I believe wholeheartedly with every ounce that I am that a rising tide lifts all ships. So if I learn something, I am more than happy to pay it forward, extend my hand and say, hey, come with me, come learn. We have, in the entirety of having the company, we've always taken interns. We've taken interns, whether it was once a semester, once a year, however, like we can make it happen. We've always taken interns. We have always hired from people who have gone through our coach training program for our coaches. We always believe in a rising tide lifts all ships. So pay it forward. You know, there's a great book, one of my favorite ones, and we're going to do a podcast episode on favorite books. So stay tuned for that. But one of my favorite books is called Go Giver. And I can't tell you the author's name off the top of my head, but maybe we'll throw in the show notes. The reason that I love Go Giver is it's about like looking at every relationship that you have and saying, how can I give before I ask, right? How can I give before I take? Now, this doesn't mean being a doormat. And it certainly doesn't mean like always being the giver and feeling like icky to receive. No, we have to, it's a two-way street. But I always believe, like, even when I'm networking, I talk to somebody and it's like, who is the most like juicy and delicious, amazing client that I can send your way? And for anybody who's, you know, one of my partners or our COI Centers of Influence that's listening right now, they will 100% tell you that I always ask that question because I would rather send you a referral and let you know that I'm excited to contribute value to you. I'd rather do that than say, hi, so yeah, you know, this is who we're looking for, right? Because if I pay it forward to you, you're always going to ask, hey, who are you looking for? Who can you help? And I'm always going to say, we work with high achievers. We work with ambitious and driven people who get in their own way. And really, we help them to create that roadmap to get out of their own way. So inevitably, whoever I talk to knows people like that. Or is that person themselves? We work with so many business owners, doctors, attorneys. Like we work with high achievers. Why? Because we are high achievers. Because we understand that these type A people, as we can be, tend to run at full speed and we tend to trip over our own shoelaces. So always pay it forward. And then finally, number 12 on the top 10 things list is quality over quantity. I'm going to say it again. Quality over quantity. If you are taking notes, like write that one on your hand. Quality over quantity. Whether it is sit-ups or bites of dessert, or it is relationships that we have, hours of sleep, I will take quality over quantity any day. So often people want to build a business and they want, you know, oh, I need 100 clients or I need, it's this scramble. And instead, whatever you do, however you deliver, the relationships that you create, the clients that you call in, the services that you offer, whatever it is, make sure that as you're producing them, they are the highest quality. No one cares if you have 10 programs. They don't care. Your tombstone will never say, like, here lies Joe, he had 10 programs. No, really, the quality of your life is going to be determined by the impact that you make. And we make a better and more impactful impact when we focus on the quality of what we deliver, the quality of what we're experiencing over the quantity. How many? How much can I do? That it doesn't work like that. So that's my number 12 for you of the top 10 things that I have learned in the last 10 years in business. And I am excited for us to be rolling into our 10th year into 2023 because there is a lot that we've learned in that time period. And I can't wait to see how things roll out next. But remember all of these. And I'd love to hear from you guys. Not only share this episode with someone that you know who has been in business at least 5 years, or even share it with people who are going into business for the very first time, right? I'm happy to give them the crib notes of what it's taken me a decade to learn. But I'd also love to hear from you. What were your top favorites? What have you learned in the last 5, 10 years, months in business? I love to hear from you guys. How has this episode impacted you? And what do you see happening for you next with what you've now learned? All right, guys. First solo episode done. Check. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I love to hear you. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and we're also on Google Play. Make sure you subscribe and leave a review. That always helps so much, and we're so grateful. And in the meantime, go check us out on Instagram at the Mindrise, or over on Facebook. We're hanging out there as well. And then we're also on LinkedIn. And as soon as I really get things rolling with our social media strategist, look out for us on TikTok. I'm absolutely petrified, but we could do hard things. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. And I hope to take this list of 12 top 10 things to heart. Bye.